Howdy fellow humans, Bad Mark here with Metre Keyboards, and today I'm bringing you just a real quick video. I was going to be doing a full video on this Akko 5075. It's supposed to be a 5075S. I don't know if it is or it isn't, but this is the keyboard that I got from Akko for $95, and honestly, I don't care for it. Out of the box, I was expecting a better experience, and I mean, these keycaps, while they're not the thinnest, do sound quite hollow and cheap. I'm gonna measure these here real quick if I can find my caliper, that is. But although these, I guess they're technically double shot, but it's only double shot at the top, not on the inner walls as well. So if I pull my caliper out, what have we got on these? I'm going to say roughly 1 millimeter would be my guess, but their sound is so, it's clacky. Let's zero this out. Yep, 1.15. So 1 1/8 of 1 1/8 millimeter. I mean, oh, it's saying 1.3 there. Yeah. So these are really thin keycaps, and I mean, they sound as such. See, I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't mind modding a keyboard that I buy. I just expect, if I'm paying a little bit more for a keyboard, that it would be a little better. Now, of course, these two were bought as bare bone kits, but much cheaper than this one. I mean, this is the NJ80, not the TH80. You notice how it doesn't sound cheap, and these are clone keycaps. It's like loose. It's bad. Now on here I have, these are linears, blue sapphires. These are tactiles. I was expecting a lot more from the white wine. This is also a next time 75. Now I have one I just got off of Prime Day for $32 without any keys or caps, but Akko and Cherry, and Akko switches and some Cherry clones, and I'm still below the retail value of this one. I don't see the value in this. These do come with the new stabilizers, which I'm honestly, I am completely shocked that these things are so poor, so ineffective. Because I was honestly expecting, like, oh wow, this is the next new thing in stabilizers, but yeah, these, I mean, these are the white wine. They are not lubed, and they're louder than a brown, but the tactility is almost the same as the brown. It's barely there. It's barely, you can barely feel it. So, but these stabilizers that, oh, they are lubed. See, it's called a double shot because that's a TPU piece that's in there. So technically these are not supposed to rattle based on, you know, and they actually do have pads for each of those switches. So in all essence, this is already modded, so why does it sound so poor? I mean, you hear that ticking? If they're lubed and they're brand new stabilizers, why do they sound worse than ones that I've modded? All right, there's a little bit of ticking on this one. So. So unfortunately, due to this situation, I can't justify keeping this board, because for what I paid for this board, I could probably buy 2 other boards, modify them, and have them sound just as good as this one. So, I mean, this knob is, I don't know, I'm just not, I was expecting a much better board. I have the Akko Mod 007, the V1, not the V2, and that's a whole another story. But I was hoping that Akko, because they really seem to be coming into their own and putting out some interesting products like the Alice layout that they have now. And several of these, although I know that the PC75B had some issues in the China release, and I don't know if they had issues with this one, but I was expecting a much better board for $95. I was expecting, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm going to modify practically any board that comes along, but I was figuring this was going to require the most minimal modifications. And as I've seen the videos, there's no gasket mounting because of this. There's poor design inside of there, because, I mean, this is supposed to be a gasket mounted board, but there's literally no flex to speak of. So I feel like this is almost like a bait and switch. I hate to say this because I love Akko keycaps and Akko switches, but I am still having a hard time finding a decent Akko keyboard. I did get the 3084, and I also returned that one because I also felt that that was a very poorly made board. I mean, yes, it can be modified to sound better, but when you're paying nearly $100 for a keyboard, it should sound a little bit better out of the box. Especially now, I mean, Keychron is really going to be putting the screws to the budget game now that they've just released a bare bone for $54. Yes, it's not gasket mount, but I guarantee you a whole bunch of people aren't going to care because it's got QMK and VIA. I personally at first was like, no. But as soon as Divini Key carries it, I will be placing an order because I'm very interested in that board because the price point and the quality that could be offered, because Keychron, though they had been known as someone that, or as a company that kind of missed on their QA/QC, I think they've made some improvements over the last year or so. I mean, I could be mistaken, but their support seems to be a lot more attentive. I still don't like the fact that they relegate Linux users to a Facebook group, especially since I'm banned off that Facebook group. And I mean, isn't that denying me service? But that's neither here nor there. Keychron is putting out some very decent boards, and their stock boards are better than this. And I mean, yes, part of the hobby is modifying your board to reach your perfect sound. But if you're paying $100, you want a keyboard, you know, in the budget world, you want a keyboard that's going to work out of the box. Like, okay, I don't have time to mod it right now. I'm going to need to use it for the next 2 weeks. I wouldn't be able to use this. This would drive me crazy. Honestly, I mean, this is a keyboard I'd have to mod before I could use. When I'm paying $95, almost, well, $100 for a keyboard in the budget realm, I expect it to be at least workable and usable out of the box. But again, this is my second stock Akko plastic keyboard that I have received, and I have not been at all impressed with. I mean, if I buy an Yusu board, like one of these, which was $12.99. Now, stock, this thing did not sound that good. It sounds much better now that it's been modded. But this is $12.99, and it sounded like this. Do you see what I mean? I mean, I know this is a different format, and it's not necessarily the fairest of comparisons. But my point is that a cheap board, you know, if it's cheap and it sounds like it needs some work, well, it's cheap. But if you pay $100, it should be good out of the box. Yes, modifications will improve that sound, but it really should be good out of the box. So I've already got my return label, and this puppy's getting packed up and going back to Akko. I'm not even sure I'm going to order the Alice. I was going to order the Alice. I've had bad luck now trying to order an Alice, but I mean, I waited nearly a month for this keyboard. I ordered it from Akko Gear, even though I knew better. But I'm really disappointed in Akko. I mean, don't get me wrong. I still love their switches, although I'm not sure about this white wine switch in here. But I mean, I got to send them back. So I'm just, I don't know. I'm not very impressed with the whole thing, and I'd like to find an Akko board that is actually good out of the box in the $100 range. I don't want to be spending. I mean, they've got a few boards now that are pushing $150 or more, and I'm not sure if they're trying to move more into the enthusiast realm while delivering still budget items. I don't know. I don't get it. Like I said, I love Akko caps, the ASA, great. I love their collector's boxes. I really hope they don't go away, as I've read some people state they are going away. And I love most of their switches. I practically have a set of every one of their switches except a couple of the jellies. And I like them all in their own respect. The silvers are great for linears. The sponge are some of my favorite tactiles. But when are they going to put out a decent keyboard? I mean, this is just disappointing. These are just my thoughts. I'm not in any way telling anybody not to go out and buy this keyboard. With some effort and change of caps and some modifications, this may sound good. But honestly, I'd be putting $100 or more worth of my time and effort into trying to make this good, and I just don't think at that point it becomes a good value proposition. That's just me. I will continue to review. I mean, hopefully I can come across an Akko board that is better stock. I mean, like I said, I don't mind tuning it a little bit. What I do mind is a $100 keyboard that sounds like it should be a $20 keyboard. So I hate to be negative, but I have to be honest. So until the next transmission, everybody be safe out there. Keep calm. Keyboard on.